Chapter 1. The Battlefield Within. There comes a moment in every life when the world seems to hold its breath. A single second where everything you've known, everything you've believed, stands in quiet suspension. You can hear it. The faint pulse of your own mind, whispering thoughts you never knew were so loud. That's the moment you face the real battlefield. Not out there in the noise of the world, but here within the unseen kingdom of your mind. We are all soldiers of thought. Every sunrise greets us with invisible wars, not of bullets, but of beliefs, not of weapons, but of words we speak to ourselves. And yet, most people march into these wars unarmed, unaware that the mind they carry is the most powerful force they will ever command. Winning in life isn't about luck. It isn't about being born in the right place or meeting the right people. It's about mastering the only arena that truly determines destiny, the inner landscape of thought, emotion, and imagination. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you wake up one morning and the world feels heavy. You check your phone, bad news, another failure, another reminder that life isn't where you hoped it would be. You feel that familiar weight in your chest, the whisper that says, maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe I'm not enough. Now pause. Right there, in that quiet moment of surrender, something extraordinary is happening. Your mind is making a choice. It's choosing between creation and collapse, between a story that limits you and a story that liberates you. And the truth, most people never notice that moment. They live decades asleep inside their own thoughts, never realizing they could rewrite the script. But the winners, the ones who rise, who evolve, who bend destiny to their will, they notice, they pause, they breathe, and in that breath, they claim back their power. The mind is not a mirror, it's a projector. Whatever image you hold within, you will eventually see without. Hold fear, and the world will appear dangerous. Hold courage, and doors you never knew existed will begin to open. Your mind paints the universe in colors drawn from your beliefs. It's easy to underestimate this truth, because the world keeps teaching us to look outward. We're told that success is a result of competition, opportunity, or circumstance, but the ancients knew better. The mystics, the sages, the philosophers, they all whispered the same secret through time. As within, so without. The state of your inner world becomes the reflection you meet in the outer one. So let me ask you, when life challenges you, where do you first look? Most people look at the problem, but the masters, the mentally trained, look at themselves, because the problem is never what's outside, it's how the mind perceives it. Think about this. Two people can live through the same storm. One curses the rain, hides from the thunder, and calls it a disaster. The other dances beneath it, gathers water for the seeds he planted, and calls it a blessing. The storm didn't change, the mindset did, and that's the first lesson in training your mind to win. The world doesn't shape you, your interpretation of the world does. Winning begins when you stop reacting and start responding consciously, when you stop letting emotion drive your choices and start letting awareness lead the way. It begins when you stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift, from resistance to reflection, is where mental mastery begins. But let's be honest, this isn't easy. The mind has been trained by years of conditioning, fears from childhood, beliefs absorbed from others, unspoken doubts inherited from society. You've been taught to compete before you've learned to create, to survive before you've learned to truly live. So when I say train your mind, understand this. You are not fighting weakness, you are unlearning limitation. There is greatness already within you, not in theory but in reality. The same intelligence that grows a tree from a seed, that spins galaxies through infinite space, that breathes life into every living soul, that same intelligence lives within your mind. You are not separate from creation. You are its continuation, and your thoughts are the brushstrokes, painting the next scene of your destiny. Pause for a moment and breathe. What if every situation you've ever faced was designed not to break you, but to build the strength of your inner command? What if every challenge was not an obstacle, but a test of awareness, asking you, can you stay centered, even now? Can you remember who you are when life tries to make you forget? That's what winners do. They remember that no matter the noise, no matter the chaos, the mind can be still. They remember that clarity is a choice, not a condition. They remember that peace is not found, it's created. Your mind can be your greatest ally, or your most dangerous enemy. Left untrained, it will replay old fears, amplify doubts, and project failure before you've even begun. But trained, truly trained, it becomes a blade sharper than circumstance, cutting through confusion and carving a path toward victory. Every athlete knows it, every visionary, every leader, every artist who's touched greatness knows it. The body follows the mind. Before the first step there was belief, before the achievement there was imagination, and before every victory there was an invisible decision made in silence. I will not lose within. That is the promise of this journey you've begun, to reclaim command of the unseen, to stop being a passenger of thought and become its master. Because when your mind is trained, life bends. When your mind is disciplined, destiny listens. And when your mind is free, truly free, there is nothing you cannot create. So as we close this first chapter, remember this truth. Winning is not something you do once. It's a way of thinking, it's the quiet, daily practice of choosing strength over fear, clarity over confusion, purpose over reaction. Every morning you wake, you step onto the battlefield of the mind. The question is, will you step in as a victim of thought, or as a commander of it? That decision will define the story that follows. In the next chapter, we'll journey deeper into the art of awareness. You'll discover how to see your thoughts before they control you, how to separate emotion from truth, and how to awaken the hidden observer within. Because to train the mind to win, you must first learn to see the mind itself. So take a breath. The real training begins now. Chapter 2. The Art of Awareness. There's a moment, often unnoticed, when a thought rises inside you like a ripple on still water. You don't invite it, it simply appears. Maybe it's a worry, a judgment, a memory, or a sudden spark of desire. Most people, without even realizing it, dive straight into that ripple, pulled under by its current. They become the thought. But awareness, the true art of mastery, begins the moment you learn to watch that ripple instead of drowning in it. That's the shift that changes everything. Because when you can see your thoughts, you are no longer ruled by them. You become the witness, the silent observer behind the noise. Every mind is like a sky, vast and infinite, yet we spend our lives staring at the passing clouds. We chase one thought after another, identifying with each one as if it were who we are. I'm angry, I'm scared, I'm not enough. But what if you're not the cloud? What if you're the sky itself, untouched, unbroken, and eternal behind the storm? Awareness is remembering that truth. It is the gentle power that allows you to see the storm without being swept away. It's not about controlling your thoughts. It's about no longer being controlled by them. Let's make this real. Think of the last time you were angry, truly angry. Someone said something, and your mind lit up like fire. Words poured out before you could stop them. Later, you thought, I didn't mean that. But in that moment, it wasn't you speaking. It was your unobserved mind reacting. Now imagine that same situation, but this time, a split second before you speak, you notice the fire, you feel the anger, but you also see it. You say to yourself, this is anger rising. That single moment of recognition, of seeing instead of being, is the first act of freedom. You've stepped out of the emotion and into awareness. You've taken your power back. Awareness is not cold or detached. It's deeply alive. It's the inner light that illuminates every shadow. Not to judge it, but to understand it. When you are aware, you begin to see the patterns of your own mind, how fear disguises itself as logic, how insecurity pretends to be humility, how ego wears the mask of pride. You start to recognize the stories you've been telling yourself for years, and once you see them, you no longer have to live inside them. Every great transformation in history began with awareness. Buddha saw suffering and became awake. Einstein questioned reality and saw beyond the visible. Every person who has ever broken free from limitation did so not by force, but by perception, by seeing differently. The untrained mind is reactive. The aware mind is responsive. The reactive mind says life is happening to me. The aware mind says life is showing me something. That simple difference is the gap between powerlessness and wisdom. But awareness doesn't come from reading or knowing. It comes from noticing. Right now, as you listen to these words, notice the space between my sentences. Notice your breath entering and leaving your body. Notice how your mind tries to wander and how, when you bring it back, something inside you becomes still. That stillness, that quiet watcher, is the seat of awareness. It's not new. It's been within you all along. You've just forgotten to listen to it. Every day, the world pulls you outward. Notifications, deadlines, opinions, all of them whisper, "Look here," not there. But awareness is the rebellion against that pull. It's the decision to turn inward, to listen to your own silence before responding to the world's noise. And when you live with awareness, everything changes. You start hearing the difference between your voice and the voice of fear. You start noticing how certain people drain your energy and others uplift it. You begin to see how your inner state creates your outer experience. You stop blaming the world and start shaping it from within. There's a story about a monk who carried water up a mountain every day. He had 2 buckets, one perfect, one cracked. The perfect bucket delivered water to the top. The cracked one lost half along the way. One day, the cracked bucket apologized, ashamed of its imperfection. The monk smiled and said, "Haven't you noticed? The path you walk is lined with flowers. I planted seeds, and your cracks watered them." Awareness is seeing the flowers in your own cracks. It's realizing that your flaws are not failures, they are teachers, that your emotions are not enemies, they are messages. Every experience, pleasant or painful, is the mind's way of pointing you toward understanding. But awareness requires humility. The moment you think you're fully aware, you've already fallen back into illusion. True awareness is fluid, alive, expanding. It grows with every breath you take consciously. It deepens every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose to see instead of judge. Here's the secret. You can't train your mind to win until you can see your mind clearly. You can't change what you won't acknowledge, and awareness is acknowledgement in its purest form. It's saying, "I see you thought, I see you emotion, but you are not me." The mind loves to disguise itself as the truth. It says you'll never succeed. They don't respect you, it's too late. But when awareness enters, you can answer softly, "That's just a thought," and in that instant, the illusion collapses, because a thought loses all power the moment it's seen for what it is. A passing cloud across an infinite sky. You may ask, how do I stay aware in the chaos of life? The answer is simple, but not easy. Practice presence. Start with moments. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you listen, just listen. Awareness is strengthened by simplicity. When your attention fully meets the present moment, your mind becomes a tool again, not your master. Gradually, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel life again. The taste of food becomes richer. Conversations deepen. Ordinary moments begin to glow with meaning. That's the power of awareness. It turns survival into living, and living into awakening. So as this chapter draws to a close, remember this: awareness is not something to gain, it's something to return to. You've been aware since the first moment you opened your eyes as a child. The world simply taught you to forget. Now you are remembering. You are learning to watch the thoughts instead of being the thoughts, to stand in the stillness behind the storm. And as you do, you'll notice a quiet strength forming, a calm power that no chaos can disturb, because once you can see the mind, you can shape it. Once you understand the movement of thought, you can direct it toward victory instead of defeat. Awareness is the beginning of mastery. It's the birth of self-command. It's the moment the soldier of thought becomes the master of perception. And in the next chapter, we'll go deeper into the discipline that turns awareness into focus. You'll discover how to channel your attention like a laser, how to transform distraction into direction, and how to use your mind with precision rather than passivity. The battlefield is becoming clearer. Now it's time to learn how to... Chapter 3: The Power of Focus. Picture this. You're standing in the middle of a crowded city street. Cars rush by, conversations overlap, screens flicker in every direction. Noise, motion, distraction, the modern storm. Now imagine a single candle flame burning in the center of it all. Delicate, steady, unwavering. That flame is focus. And in a world addicted to distraction, it has become a rare form of mastery. Every mind holds power, but power scattered is power lost. A laser is nothing more than light, the same light that fills your room, but condensed, concentrated and aimed. That's what transforms it from brightness into force. The same truth applies to you. Your thoughts are light, your focus is the lens, and where you direct that lens determines what you create, destroy or become. We live in a time where the world fights for your attention every second. Apps, opinions, temptations, fears, all competing to pull your mind away from itself. And the more divided your attention becomes, the weaker your direction gets. Most people don't lose to failure, they lose to distraction. They don't run out of time, they run out of focus. But those who train their mind to focus, to aim instead of scatter, begin to bend reality in their favor, because focus is the silent architect of destiny. Think back to any great moment of achievement: a sculptor chiseling marble for years, a scientist devoting decades to a single theory, a monk sitting in silence for hours each day. What unites them? Not luck, not genius, focus. The sacred ability to hold one vision long enough for it to become real. Let's take it deeper. Your mind is an instrument, and attention is its bow. Wherever you place that bow, energy flows. If you focus on fear, you feed it. If you focus on doubt, you strengthen it. But if you focus on growth, gratitude and possibility, life begins to organize itself around your direction. Energy responds to attention, always. There's an ancient story about a warrior who asked his master how to hit any target. The master handed him a bow and said, "Before you can hit the target, you must see nothing but the target." The warrior trained for months, practicing day and night, until one day he closed one eye, drew the bow and whispered, "All I see is the center." The arrow flew straight, precise, perfect. The master smiled. "You've learned to aim," he said. "Now learn to aim within." That is the deeper lesson. Focus isn't just about external goals, it's about internal alignment. You can't aim your life clearly if your inner world is scattered. If part of you wants peace and another part craves chaos, if one part believes and another doubts, your arrow will always drift. True focus begins when the mind, heart and spirit point in the same direction. When thought, feeling and intention move as one. But here's what most people get wrong. Focus isn't force. It's not clenching your jaw and fighting for control. It's stillness with purpose. It's the art of returning again and again to what matters most. Because your mind will wander. That's its nature. But every time you bring it back, every time you say, here, this is where my attention belongs, you strengthen the muscle of mental mastery. Focus is how you turn awareness into creation. Awareness shows you the battlefield. Focus decides where to fight. Awareness says, here is your mind. Focus says, now choose. When you're focused, your energy becomes magnetic. People feel it when you speak. Your presence carries weight, because your attention is complete. You're no longer scattered between 1,000 invisible screens. You are here, and the world, which mirrors your inner state, begins to organize itself around your clarity. There's a reason why nature loves stillness. Watch a river flow. When it's wide and shallow, it moves gently. But when it narrows, its force multiplies. Your life works the same way. When your energy is wide, divided among worries, doubts, distractions, you feel powerless. But when it narrows, when it aligns, it cuts through resistance like water through stone. That is focus. Yet this power comes with responsibility. Whatever you focus on grows. So if your attention dwells on what's missing, you'll multiply lack. If it lingers on resentment, you'll deepen pain. But if you choose gratitude, progress, or vision, the universe expands in that direction. Focus is the gardener of reality. It decides which seeds survive. Let me ask you something. What have you been watering? Your fears or your faith? Your goals or your grievances? Whatever grows strongest inside you is what you've been feeding with attention. The mind doesn't care what it multiplies. It only obeys where it's pointed. And here lies the secret. Focus begins with silence. Not the absence of sound, but the quieting of noise. When you remove the constant chatter, the need to react, the addiction to movement, your natural clarity returns. Then you begin to see what truly deserves your energy. You stop chasing every spark and start tending the fire that matters. When you master focus, you stop living reactively and start living deliberately. Your work becomes more meaningful, your relationships deeper, your goals sharper. Because you're no longer being dragged by life, you're directing it. And when you direct it long enough, the world starts to move in rhythm with your intent. But here's the paradox. The more you focus, the more the world will try to pull you off course. Not out of malice, but because distraction is the test of mastery. Every temptation to drift is an invitation to return. Every interruption is a reminder to remember. And every time you return, your focus strengthens, your will deepens, and your inner power grows quieter, steadier, unstoppable. This is the discipline of mind that builds empires and awakens souls. The discipline that allows you to say, I know what I came here to do, and nothing will pull me away from it. That's when the mind stops being a battlefield and becomes a compass. That's when every choice becomes deliberate, every moment purposeful. So today, decide where your arrow will fly. Decide what deserves your undivided attention, because whatever holds your focus will define your future. Aim carefully, hold steady, return often. The world will follow the direction of your gaze. And as we turn the page to the next chapter, we'll explore the hidden power that makes focus unbreakable, the discipline that transforms fleeting motivation into lasting strength. Because focus lights the path, but discipline is what keeps you walking when the light begins to fade. Chapter 4. The discipline of greatness. Discipline, the very word, can make some people tense. It sounds like control, like effort, like sacrifice. But in truth, discipline is not a cage, it's the key. It is the sacred structure that allows greatness to breathe freely. Picture a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble. Hidden inside that stone is a masterpiece, waiting, silent, perfect. But the sculptor knows, Beauty will not reveal itself through desire alone. It will take patience, precision, and devotion. Every strike of the chisel is an act of discipline, and with each one, the masterpiece emerges. Your life is that marble, your potential, the figure inside, and discipline is the hand that frees it. The undisciplined mind is like wind, restless, scattered, without direction. It touches everything but moves nothing. But a disciplined mind is like a river channeled by stone, flowing with purpose, carving valleys, shaping worlds. Discipline isn't about punishment or denial, it's about alignment, aligning your daily actions with your deepest intentions. It is saying, I honor what I want most over what I want now. You see, every person dreams, every person desires success, peace, or fulfillment, but desire alone has never built a kingdom. It's the daily discipline, the unseen, unglamorous, consistent practice that builds empires of the mind and spirit. Think of the sunrise. It never forgets to rise. It doesn't ask whether it feels inspired today. It simply fulfills its purpose. That is discipline in its purest form, rhythm, guided by meaning. In your own life, discipline is the bridge between intention and manifestation. It's the muscle that transforms someday into now. But the world often teaches us to chase feelings, motivation, excitement, passion. Yet all of those are temporary visitors. Motivation may get you started, but only discipline will keep you standing when it leaves. Let me tell you a truth that changes everything. Discipline is an act of love. It's love for your future self. It's love for your purpose, your growth, your becoming. Every time you stay true to your vision despite the mood of the moment, you are saying to your higher self, I will not abandon you. Most people think discipline requires strength, but it's the other way around. Discipline creates strength. Every time you resist distraction, every time you rise when comfort calls you back to sleep, you train not just your habits, but your soul. Because discipline isn't about the task, it's about the identity you are building through it. The gym, the meditation cushion, the journal, the daily effort, they are not destinations, they are mirrors, reflecting the kind of person you're becoming. Each small act of consistency whispers, I can be trusted. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. The secret most people miss is this: discipline is not hard when your vision is clear. When you know why you're doing something, the struggle becomes sacred. Ask the musician who practices scales until midnight. It's not suffering, it's devotion. Ask the monk who rises before dawn. It's not routine, it's reverence. Ask the parent who sacrifices sleep for a child's dream. It's not burden, it's love. That's the heartbeat of discipline, love expressed through commitment. But the undisciplined mind chases pleasure and escapes discomfort, and in doing so, loses freedom. Because freedom without discipline is chaos, and chaos always leads back to bondage. True freedom is earned through mastery. And mastery begins when you decide to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Think of a seed. It doesn't wait for perfect weather to grow. It simply reaches for light every single day. That's what disciplined living feels like. Reaching, growing, showing up regardless of the conditions. Because life won't always feel fair. The conditions won't always be ideal. But discipline ensures you move forward anyway. Let's talk about energy. Discipline is not about forcing energy. It's about directing it. When your focus from the last chapter meets discipline, your actions become aligned. You stop scattering your strength on meaningless motion. You begin to do less, but each act carries more weight, more depth, more intention. That's why disciplined people often seem calm. They aren't rushing, they're deliberate. Every move counts, and here's the paradox. The more disciplined you become, the more spontaneous life feels, because when your mind and actions are ordered, the soul can flow freely through them. Discipline clears space for creativity. It removes noise so intuition can speak. It's not rigidity, it's readiness. You prepare the ground so inspiration can land. Without discipline, even the greatest vision dissolves into fantasy. With discipline, even the smallest step becomes sacred. Now let's address the truth that everyone feels but few admit. Discipline is lonely at times. There will be days when you walk alone, when the world mocks your consistency, when no one understands why you keep showing up. But solitude is the forge where self-mastery is born. When no one claps and you still continue, that's when greatness begins to whisper your name. In those quiet hours when your bed feels heavy and your dreams feel far, remember this: discipline is not the enemy of comfort, it's the creator of peace. Because the greatest comfort comes from knowing you are in control of yourself, not ruled by impulse or laziness. The body rests best when the mind is at peace, and the mind is only at peace when it honors its word. The moment you do what you said you would do, even when no one's watching, something deep inside aligns. That alignment is power. That's the sound of integrity forming, the foundation of all greatness. You must understand, greatness is never built in one grand act. It's built in 1,000 quiet choices. The choice to rise early, the choice to stay kind when it's easier to react, the choice to keep building when the results are invisible. Every choice carves the mind, shapes the soul, refines the destiny. Discipline turns ordinary moments into sacred ground. It turns resistance into fuel and effort into art. When you live with discipline, you stop negotiating with your excuses and start conversing with your purpose. That's when you realize you were never fighting your laziness. You were fighting for your future, and that fight is holy. As we move forward, understand this: discipline doesn't end with structure, it begins with spirit. It is born not from force, but from devotion to what truly matters. It is how you say to life, "I am ready," and life in return begins to trust you with more. Because life never gives power to the undisciplined, it gives it to those who have proven they can handle it. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the companion to discipline, resilience. You'll learn how to rise after failure, how to bend without breaking, and how to transform every setback into strength. Because discipline builds the foundation, but resilience keeps the house standing when the storms arrive. Chapter 5: The Power of Inner Stillness. There is a moment before every great decision, before every act of courage, when the world seems to hold its breath. That moment, silent, timeless, infinite, is where your power lives. Most people miss it. They rush through it, afraid of the quiet, desperate to act, to fix, to control. But those who master that pause, those who learn to stand still in the storm, become unshakable. Imagine the surface of a lake on a windy day. The waves are restless, the reflection broken, the sky above distorted. You cannot see clearly through the chaos. But as the wind dies and the water settles, the surface turns to glass. Suddenly, everything is revealed: the depth, the light, the truth beneath. Your mind is that lake. The storms are your fears, your judgments, your doubts, and stillness, true stillness, is the calm that restores your vision. We live in an age addicted to noise. We chase distractions like oxygen. Our phones, our thoughts, our endless scrolling, all to avoid the quiet voice that whispers beneath it all. But that voice is where your wisdom waits. It doesn't shout, it doesn't compete, it speaks softly, like a teacher who knows its worth. It says, "Be still, I am here." To train your mind to win in every situation, you must learn to enter that stillness, not as an escape, but as your command center. Because when you act from stillness, you don't react, you respond. You don't panic, you perceive. You don't fight chaos, you direct it. Think of the greatest warriors, athletes, or leaders you've ever admired. They move with precision, not because they are faster than others, but because their minds are quieter. A sword in the hands of a frantic fighter is a danger to himself, but in the hands of one who is still, it becomes an instrument of purpose. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the mastery of it. It is the space between impulse and intention, between emotion and wisdom, and in that space, victory begins. There was once a story told about a monk who lived high in the mountain. Every morning, he would sit beside a waterfall and meditate as the thunder of the water crashed beside him. One day, a traveler asked, "How can you meditate with such noise?" The monk smiled and replied, "The waterfall roars only when I listen with my ears, but when I listen with my soul, there is only peace." That is inner stillness, not silence from the world, but silence within yourself, no matter what the world sounds like. When you are still inside, no insult can disturb you, no loss can break you, no failure can define you. Because in stillness, you see that you are not the storm, you are the sky that holds it. You are not the thoughts, you are the awareness watching them pass. Let me tell you something most people never realize. Stillness is not learned, it is remembered. You were born with it. As a child, you knew how to sit and simply watch the world, to be absorbed in the shape of a cloud or the flicker of light through leaves. That state of presence, that calm, effortless attention, is still within you. It's just been buried under layers of noise, fear, and urgency. The moment you close your eyes and choose to listen, not to your mind, but beyond it, you begin to return. It may not come easily at first. The mind will resist. It will shout, demand. But if you wait, if you breathe, if you simply allow, you'll begin to sense it, a quiet pulse, a presence beneath the noise. That is your true strength awakening. Stillness is the seed of clarity. It's where intuition grows, where creativity is born, where decisions align with truth instead of fear. You can't force stillness, you invite it. You can't command it, you surrender to it. Have you ever noticed how inspiration always seems to arrive when you stop trying to find it? When you step into the shower, take a walk, stare at the stars, that's when it comes. That's not coincidence. That's the mind slipping into stillness, long enough for the deeper intelligence to speak. Every challenge in life will try to pull you away from that center. People will provoke you, problems will test you, uncertainty will shake you, but the one who can remain calm in the midst of chaos holds the power to shape it. The calm mind sees opportunities where others see obstacles. The calm mind hears truth where others hear noise. The calm mind wins, not because it controls everything, but because it controls itself. There's a saying, you cannot see your reflection in boiling water. Likewise, you cannot see truth in a disturbed mind. The world you perceive is filtered through the state of your consciousness. If your mind is stormy, everything appears as threat and struggle. But when the water clears, you begin to see that even the storm had beauty, that even your pain carried wisdom. Stillness gives you vision, and vision gives you mastery. You might be wondering, how do I practice this in daily life? The answer is simple. Begin small. Find moments to pause. Before you respond to a message, breathe. Before you make a decision, wait for the noise to settle. Before you judge or react, return to yourself. Even 5 seconds of still awareness can shift the course of your day, and eventually, your destiny. Because every great victory begins not with action, but with awareness. The world may demand movement, but your power comes from presence. You don't train your mind to win by making it louder. You train it by making it still enough to hear truth. When your mind becomes your ally, when it no longer drags you into fear or impulse, life transforms. You stop chasing control and start embodying it. You stop seeking certainty and start creating it. In this stillness, you remember who you are, not the roles you play, not the labels you wear, but the awareness that watches it all unfold. That is the essence of mastery. So the next time life tests you, and it will pause, Feel the stillness inside you. Let it expand until the noise fades. From that silence, act, speak, decide, and you will find that even in the chaos, you are untouchable. Because stillness is not withdrawal, it is power contained, it is energy mastered, it is the calm before the creation. And as you learn to dwell in that space, you'll discover something extraordinary. Stillness doesn't just change your mind, it changes your reality. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to transform that inner stillness into movement, how to take calm awareness and turn it into decisive, unstoppable action. Chapter 6. The Art of Focused Energy. Imagine standing in a dark room, holding a lantern that flickers with dim, uncertain light. The room is vast, filled with possibilities, dreams, and hidden doors, but your scattered glow can only touch a fraction of it. Now picture that same light, sharpened, refined, concentrated into a single beam, a laser cutting through walls, carving new paths, illuminating everything it touches. That is the difference between a mind that wanders and a mind that focuses. Focus is not about doing more, it's about being more. It is the gathering of your scattered energy into one clear direction. When your energy is dispersed, your life becomes fragmented. But when your attention aligns, your world responds with precision. Most people think failure comes from lack of talent, resources, or opportunity. But more often, it comes from one simple truth. They were divided within themselves. They wanted too many things at once, feared too many outcomes, and listened to too many voices. And a divided mind can never conquer a unified goal. Focus is spiritual. It's sacred. It's not just a mental skill. It's the act of saying, "This is where my life force will go." Every thought you entertain, every emotion you indulge, every hour you spend, it all carries energy. To master focus is to reclaim that energy and direct it toward what truly matters. Think of the sun. When its rays are scattered, it warms. When concentrated through a lens, it ignites. That is the power of focused energy. You stop warming your dreams and start setting them on fire. There's an old story of an archer who never missed his mark. When asked his secret, he said, "Before I draw the bow, I become the arrow." That's what focus is, merging with your aim until the distance between you and your goal disappears. The mind ceases to doubt because it is fully occupied with direction. There is no noise, no resistance, no hesitation, only movement aligned with purpose. But here's the challenge. We live in a world built to steal your focus. Everything is designed to divide your attention. Notifications, opinions, distractions, constant noise. The average person's mind is like a house with all its doors open. Every gust of thought, every random fear, every passing trend walks in uninvited and rearranges the furniture. To train your mind to win, you must learn to close those doors. Not in rejection of the world, but in devotion to your purpose. You must guard your attention like a sacred flame. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, your life grows. True focus begins with clarity. You cannot aim at what you cannot see. Sit with yourself. Ask the questions most people avoid. What truly matters to me? What am I willing to give my energy to every day, even when no one is watching? When the answer rises, honor it. Because once you know your aim, the universe starts rearranging itself to meet you there. But clarity alone isn't enough. Focus demands discipline, the ability to say no to everything that doesn't serve your vision. Most people lose not because they lack dreams, but because they say yes to too many things. Every yes carries a hidden cost. Every distraction accepted is energy withdrawn from your destiny. There is a purity in single-mindedness, a beauty in giving your whole being to one pursuit. It doesn't mean your life becomes narrow. It means your purpose becomes powerful. You start to see connections where others see confusion. You find progress where others find fatigue. You become unstoppable, not because you push harder, but because your direction is pure. Let me tell you a truth most never hear. Focus is not built by trying harder, it's built by caring deeper. When something truly matters to you, focus happens naturally. Think of a mother listening for her child's cry in a crowded room. Her attention pierces through the noise, guided by love. When you love your goal enough, distractions lose their power. The secret is to move from discipline to devotion. Discipline says, I must stay focused. Devotion says, I must stay focused. Devotion says, I want nothing more than this. And when your desire becomes devotion, your focus becomes effortless. But beware of false focus, the kind driven by fear, competition or ego. It burns fast and fades quickly. True focus is steady, quiet, consistent. It doesn't need to shout or prove. It moves with grace, like a river carving stone, not through force but persistence. Sometimes, focus means walking alone. When you dedicate yourself to something greater, you may feel misunderstood. People will question your intensity, your solitude, your silence. But remember this. Greatness has always required isolation before illumination. Seeds grow underground before they rise into light. Every day, the world will invite you to scatter yourself, to multitask your life away, to chase every glittering distraction. But focus asks for something rarer, present, the ability to give your full attention to the moment you're in, the task before you, the life you're living. When you are truly present, your energy becomes a force of nature. Conversations deepen, work becomes art, effort turns into flow. When your mind no longer flickers between 1,000 what-ifs, but rests on a single I will, your inner world transforms. That transformation radiates outward into your relationships, your career, your health. Because focus doesn't just sharpen your mind, it purifies your entire being. And here's something miraculous. Focus creates time. Most believe they're running out of time, but in truth they're running out of focus. The mind that's divided feels rushed, because it lives everywhere except now. But when you focus, time expands. Hours stretch, creativity flows, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. So how do you begin? Start small. Choose one thing, just one, that you will give your undivided attention to today. No phone, no distraction, just pure conscious energy. Do this not once, but daily, and you will begin to feel it. The gathering of your power, the sharpening of your mind. The more you practice, the stronger it grows. Focus is like a muscle. It strengthens with every act of attention. And as it grows, you will notice something extraordinary. Your outer world begins to mirror your inner order. Chaos dissolves. Clarity rises. Results accelerate. Because the universe responds to a focused mind the way iron responds to a magnet. You are not meant to live scattered. You are meant to live centered. You are not here to chase 1,000 things. You are here to master the few that matter most. Remember, distraction is not just the enemy of focus, it's the enemy of destiny. Every moment you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your power. So gather your energy, bring it home, direct it like light through a lens. Let your focus burn through fear, through doubt, through the fog of confusion, until only clarity remains. And when your energy becomes one unbroken, unwavering, you will no longer chase success, you will radiate. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to use this focused energy to transform obstacles into momentum, turning every challenge into a source of unstoppable growth. Chapter 7. Turning Obstacles into Power. There's a strange moment that happens right before a breakthrough. It often doesn't look like victory. It looks like collapse. It feels like the world is closing in on you, as if life itself is conspiring to break your spirit. But what if, in that very moment, life isn't trying to defeat you, it's trying to forge you? Picture a sword in the making, a rough piece of metal, dull and ordinary, placed in a furnace of unbearable heat. It glows red, screams under pressure, and is struck again and again by the hammer. The weak metal shatters, but the strong transforms. Each strike, each flame, each moment of fire refines it into something unbreakable. That's what obstacles are. They're not punishments. They're the fire that forges your strength. We spend so much of our lives avoiding difficulty, praying that life will be smooth and predictable. But no great soul was ever shaped in comfort. The most powerful minds, the calmest hearts, the strongest spirits, they were all carved in chaos. If you wish to train your mind to win in every situation, you must stop running from challenge and start transforming it. Here's a truth few dare to speak. Obstacles are not in your way, they are the way. Every limitation, every rejection, every disappointment is a disguised teacher. The question is not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to teach me? Because if you listen closely, every obstacle carries a message. Grow beyond this. When something blocks your path, it's not saying stop, it's saying change form. The water does not argue with the rock, it flows around it. The eagle does not curse the wind, it rides it higher. The wise mind doesn't resist reality, it redirects it. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who dreamed of climbing a great mountain. Every morning, he would stare at its peak, lost in wonder. One day, he finally began his ascent, but halfway up, a storm came, a furious wind that tore at his clothes and blinded his eyes. In anger, he shouted, "Why does this storm stand against me?" And the mountain replied, "The storm does not oppose you, it's what will make you strong enough to reach my peak." That's the essence of transformation. Life sends you storms, not to destroy you but to awaken your power. The challenge you face is never random, it is precisely what you need to evolve. When your mind is untrained, you see obstacles as punishment. When your mind is trained, you see them as instruction. The difference is perception. To the fearful mind, a problem is a threat. To the awakened mind, a problem is raw material, a block of marble waiting to be shaped into mastery. Every great innovator, every spiritual leader, every human being who changed history, understood this law. The obstacle is fuel. Thomas Edison once said, he didn't fail 1,000 times, he discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work. That's transformation. Each failure was not a wall, it was a map. But transformation doesn't begin with what you face, it begins with how you see. Your outer challenges are mirrors of your inner resistance. When you change your relationship with struggle, struggle changes its nature. Instead of draining you, it strengthens you. The next time something goes wrong, when plans collapse, when people disappoint you, when the path turns dark, don't curse it. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, what is this building in me? Patience, courage, resilience, vision, because life never takes without giving. Every hardship hides a hidden gift, but you must look with the eyes of growth to find it. There is a moment in every transformation when giving up seems easier. You'll hear that voice, the one that whispers, "It's not worth it, you've done enough, let it go." That's the voice of the old self, terrified of extinction. But if you stay a little longer in the fire, if you endure the discomfort long enough to let it refine you, you will rise as something greater than you've ever been. The truth is, strength is not built by success, it's revealed through struggle. Every time you thought you were breaking, you were really being built. Every time you fell, you were learning the rhythm of getting back up. You were being prepared for something your comfort could never teach. When you understand this, your relationship with pain transforms completely. You stop resisting life's blows. You stop fearing the unknown. You start to move differently, calmer, steadier, wiser. Because you know that everything happening is happening for you, not to you. You become like the tree that bends with the wind, not the one that snaps. You become adaptable, not breakable. You stop asking for the storm to pass, and instead you learn to dance in the rain. That's real mastery. But transformation requires one more ingredient: surrender. Not the weak kind, the powerful kind. The kind that says, I trust that this difficulty is shaping me for something greater. Surrender is not giving up, it's giving over. It's letting go of resistance, so your energy can move forward instead of fighting what already is. When you stop fighting the obstacle, you begin learning from it, and when you learn from it, you outgrow it. The challenge no longer repeats, because you've transcended the level that required it. Let me give you something to remember. Every problem you faced in your life was custom designed for your evolution. Life never wastes an experience. What you call bad luck was redirection. What you call loss was clearing space for something purer. What you call failure was the hand of life guiding you towards strength you didn't know you had. So don't wish for an easier path, wish for a stronger mind. Don't pray for fewer problems, pray for deeper understanding. Because when your perception changes, your world changes. Your greatest advantage is not that life becomes easier, it's that you become unshakable. You stop seeing yourself as the victim of circumstance and start recognizing yourself as the architect of response. And that's where real power begins. There will be times when life tests you beyond measure, times when you'll be tempted to believe that everything is falling apart. But one day, you'll look back and realize, it wasn't falling apart, it was falling into place. Every mountain you've climbed, every storm you've endured, every night you've cried in silence, none of it was wasted. All of it was training. The mind that has learned to turn pain into wisdom, fear into fuel, and setbacks into strength, that mind cannot be defeated. So when life presses against you again, and it will, don't shrink, expand. Don't ask for relief, ask for revelation, because what stands against you today will one day be the story that empowers someone else to rise. Remember this: diamonds are born under pressure, stars are born from collapse, and you, your truest self, is born from every obstacle that ever dared to stand in your way. In the next chapter, we will explore how to rise from transformation into flow, how to live in alignment with your power, so that life begins to move with you, not against. Chapter 8: The Flow of Alignment. There are moments in life when everything seems to move effortlessly, when actions feel guided, timing feels divine, and what once seemed impossible unfolds with ease. You speak, and the world listens. You act, and the doors open. You move, and the current of life seems to carry you forward. That is the power of alignment. Alignment is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is the natural rhythm that emerges when your inner world and outer actions move in harmony. It is the place where struggle dissolves and flow begins. Most people spend their lives pushing, forcing, fighting against the current, believing that effort alone creates success. But true mastery comes when you stop rowing against the river and learn to move with it. Imagine standing in a stream. The water rushes past, strong and relentless. You resist it, planting your feet, muscles tense, fighting to stay upright. You exhaust yourself trying to control its direction. Now imagine letting go, lifting your feet, and allowing the current to carry you. At first, there's fear, the loss of control, but then there's speed, movement, freedom. That is a shift from resistance to alignment. When you are aligned, your thoughts, emotions, and actions point in the same direction. There is no inner war, no contradiction between what you want and what you do. You become a single focused frequency, and life responds to that clarity. The universe is not chaotic, it is responsive. It mirrors the state of your being. When you are divided, it sends you confusion. When you are restless, it sends you delay. But when you are aligned, when your mind is clear, your heart open, your actions purposeful, the universe synchronizes around you. Alignment doesn't mean that life becomes easy. It means that even when challenges appear, they move in rhythm with your growth instead of against it. It's not the absence of resistance, it's the presence of harmony. Think of a dancer moving with music. If she resists the rhythm, every step feels forced. But when she listens, feels, and moves with the beat, even the most complex choreography becomes graceful. That's what alignment feels like. It's when life becomes a dance, not a battle. But alignment begins within. You cannot flow with the world if you are at war with yourself. You cannot receive clarity if your inner voice is drowned in noise. Most people seek flow externally. They change jobs, relationships, routines, hoping the world will finally fit. But true alignment begins with one question: am I in agreement with myself? Do your thoughts support your vision? Do your emotions empower your action? Do your words reflect your truth? If the answer is no, you will always feel resistance, because the conflict is internal, not external. Alignment is the act of bringing all parts of yourself into unity: the mind that believes, the heart that feels, and the actions that express. When those three align, you become unstoppable. But let's be honest, alignment is not a one-time achievement. It is a practice. It requires awareness, honesty, and courage. Because sometimes to realign you must let go of people, of paths, of identities that no longer fit. You must release what once defined you to make space for what now calls you. It can be terrifying, this shedding of the old self, but every misalignment in your life is a whisper from your soul saying, this is not who you are anymore. Pain, fatigue, confusion, these are not punishments. They are invitations to realign. When your life begins to feel heavy, when progress feels forced, pause and ask, where am I pushing against my own truth? Because the moment you stop forcing and start listening, the flow returns. Let me tell you a story. A sculptor once worked tirelessly on a massive block of marble. Every day, he hammered, chiseled, forced the stone to yield. Weeks passed with little progress. Frustrated, he stopped and sat in silence before the stone. Then something shifted. He realized he wasn't there to create the statue. He was there to reveal it. The form was already inside. He only needed to align with it. That's the essence of alignment. You stop trying to force life into shape and start revealing the masterpiece that's already waiting beneath your resistance. Alignment is listening. It's trusting the subtle guidance that arises from stillness. It's acting from intuition, not impulse, from purpose, not pressure. And when you do, life begins to arrange itself in miraculous ways. You start meeting the right people at the right time. Opportunities seem to find you. The right words come when needed, the right ideas when sought. It's not magic, it's resonance. You are vibrating at the frequency of what you desire, and so it finds you naturally. But make no mistake, alignment is not passive. It's not waiting for life to carry you while you drift aimlessly. It's conscious flow, intentional movement, guided by awareness. It's the courage to trust your inner compass, even when the map isn't clear. There will be moments when alignment asks you to walk away from what seems safe, to step into uncertainty, guided only by a whisper of truth. That is where many stop, because alignment demands trust. It asks you to believe that life supports the authentic, not the artificial, that your highest path will never require you to betray your peace. When you act from alignment, your power multiplies. You stop wasting energy on conflict and confusion. You become focused, grounded, create. Even your smallest actions carry force, because they are backed by the full strength of your being. Here's the secret. Alignment isn't something you find, it's something you return to. It's always there, beneath the noise, waiting for you to listen. You felt it before, in those moments when time disappeared, when your mind was clear, when you knew exactly what to do without thinking. That was alignment. The more you live from that space, the more life begins to move with you. The path ahead seems to unfold. Not because you control it, but because you've become synchronized with it. And when you live in that flow, everything changes. Work becomes joy, relationships deepen, obstacles lose their weight. You stop chasing, and you start attracting. Because alignment is not about forcing outcomes, it's about becoming the kind of person those outcomes naturally belong to. When you align with truth, peace replaces struggle. When you align with purpose, passion replaces fatigue. When you align with love, fear loses its power. So if life feels heavy right now, if every step feels uphill, don't fight harder, align deeper. Return to your center. Ask yourself, not what do I need to do, but who do I need to be to move in harmony with this moment. Because when you are aligned, you are guided. When you are guided, you are fearless. And when you are fearless, you become unstoppable. Flow is not found through control. It's found through connection. It is the moment when the mind yields to the wisdom of the soul, and everything begins to move as one. Stay aligned, and even the impossible becomes inevitable. In the next chapter, we will explore the mastery of emotional energy, how to transform emotion into strength, and use it to fuel your inner power without ever losing your peace. ChatGPT said, Chapter 9, The Alchemy of Emotion. There is a fire that lives inside you, ancient, raw, and untamed. It flickers quietly beneath every thought, every heartbeat, every choice you make. It is your emotion. And though the world often teaches us to hide it, suppress it, or control it, the truth is far more powerful. Emotion is not your weakness. It is your fuel. Think of it. Every revolution, every masterpiece, every act of courage that ever changed history began with a surge of emotion. A spark of feeling became a movement, a creation, a transformation. Emotion is energy in motion, pure life force flowing through the body of your soul. When you learn to harness it, it becomes your most sacred power. But when you fear it, repress it, or deny it, that same energy turns inward, burning not to light your path, but to consume your peace. That's what most people do. They bottle their emotions, build walls around their hearts, pretend to be fine, and call it strength. But inside, the pressure builds until one day it bursts in the form of anger, despair, or exhaustion. The true art is not in denying emotion, but in transmuting it, turning fear into courage, pain into wisdom, sadness into compassion. This is emotional alchemy, and those who master it become unshakable. Imagine a blacksmith standing before a blazing furnace. He takes raw metal, rough, unformed, impure, and places it into the fire. The heat, intense and relentless, could destroy it, but instead it transforms it. Through the fire, the metal softens, reshapes, and emerges stronger, sharper, radiant. That is exactly what emotion does to the human soul. Every emotion you feel is a messenger, a teacher sent to reveal something within you. Anger says, there is a boundary that needs honoring. Fear whispers, there is growth waiting beyond this edge. Sadness says, something precious has been lost, and it is time to heal. Even jealousy, even shame, each one carries sacred information. When you silence them, you silence the wisdom of your own evolution. So instead of asking, how do I stop feeling this? Ask, what is this feeling trying to show me? Because emotion is not the problem, resistance to emotion is. The moment you resist what you feel, you create conflict inside yourself. But when you allow it to move through you, it transforms. Emotion, when felt fully and consciously, purifies you. It clears the mind, releases the heart, and restores your power. You cannot heal what you do not feel. You cannot transcend what you refuse to face. Think of a storm. The sky darkens, the winds rise, rain crashes against the earth. It feels chaotic, uncontrollable. But after the storm passes, the air is clear, the soil renewed, the world vibrant again. Emotion works the same way. Let it move through, and it cleanses you. Hold it in, and it becomes thunder trapped in your chest. Here's the truth: your emotions are not meant to control you, and you are not meant to control them. You are meant to dance with them. Feel their rhythm. Listen to their music. Let them guide you without letting them lead you astray. When anger rises, don't lash out. Listen. What is it asking you to stand up for? When fear grips you, don't retreat, breathe into it. What new strength is it inviting you to discover? When grief comes, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it. Let it teach you the depth of your own love. This is emotional intelligence at its highest form. Not mental understanding, but soul-level awareness. Every feeling is a vibration. Every vibration creates a frequency. And that frequency attracts experiences that match it. This is why emotional mastery is not just spiritual, it's magnetic. When your emotions are chaotic, your life becomes chaotic. But when your emotions are aligned, the universe aligns with you. The question then becomes, not how do I feel better, but how do I feel truthfully? Because authenticity is the foundation of emotional alchemy. You see, pretending to be positive when you're broken inside doesn't create healing, it creates dissonance. Real power begins when you can sit in the darkness without losing your light. When you can say, yes, I feel pain, but I am not the pain. That awareness turns suffering into strength. Pain, when honored, becomes purpose. Anger, when directed, becomes drive. Fear, when understood, becomes focus. Every emotion is an invitation to greater wholeness. The greatest spiritual masters were not emotion. They were deeply feeling beings, but their emotions served them, not ruled them. They learned to channel passion without destruction, compassion without attachment, peace without apathy. That is the mark of a truly awakened soul, not numbness, but awareness. So ask yourself now, what emotion have I been avoiding? What feeling have I labeled as wrong, weak, or inconvenient? Because that emotion is the key to your next level of freedom. Let's go deeper. Imagine emotion as water. In its still form, it reflects the sky. It is clear, calm, and beautiful, but when dammed, it builds pressure. When ignored, it stagnates. When released, it flows, nourishes, and gives life. The goal is not to stop the water, it's to keep it moving. Movement is healing. Speak what hurts. Write what burns within you. Cry if you must. Scream into the wilderness. Stretch, dance, move that energy. Let it flow, because that is how transformation begins. You are not meant to live emotionally numb. You are meant to feel the full spectrum of being human. To laugh until you ache. To cry until you cleanse. To love until you expand. Every feeling you experience adds depth to your soul. And when you begin to accept all of your emotions, something miraculous happens. You begin to accept all of yourself. The light and the shadow. The calm and the storm. Because your emotions are the language of your soul. And when you silence them, you silence your truth. To master emotion is not to suppress it. It is to understand it. To hold it in your hands without fear. And say, I see you. I know you. I will use your energy wisely. That is emotional alchemy. And when you reach that place, you become a force of clarity. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer drown, you flow. You no longer run, you rise. So remember this. Emotion is not your enemy. It is your inner compass, your teacher, your power. Use it to awaken, to create, to transform. Every tear, every tremor, every heartbeat, it's all sacred. Feel deeply. Live fully. That is the path to wholeness. And in the next chapter, we'll go beyond emotion, into the stillness beneath it, the place where clarity, intuition, and divine guidance are born. Chapter 10. The Stillness Within. Mastering the Inner Power. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a lake at dawn. The water is perfectly still, reflecting the sky with absolute clarity. Not a ripple disturbs its surface. You might think it is passive, that nothing is happening beneath the calm. But beneath that glassy surface, life stirs, currents move, roots anchor, fish glide silently. That lake holds immense power, and yet its strength is invisible, unshakable, serene. This is the stillness within you. It is not emptiness, nor is it escape. It is the quiet center from which every thought, every action, every victory originates. All the focus you've trained, all the energy you've gathered, all the emotional mastery you've cultivated, it finds its ultimate expression in stillness. Most people fear stillness. They equate silence with stagnation, reflection with weakness. They rush from one distraction to the next, never daring to sit alone with themselves. But let me tell you, the greatest power in life is cultivated in the moments when the world stops and you listen. Imagine a storm outside, a hurricane of events, pressures and challenges. The untrained mind swirls in chaos, reacting to every gust of wind, buffeted by fear and doubt. The trained mind, however, is like the eye of that storm. All around, turbulence rages. Inside there is calm, there is clarity, there is direction. Stillness allows you to see the path that panic hides. It allows you to hear the whispers of intuition over the clamor of noise. It allows you to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with habit. Every master in history, from warriors to sages, innovators to artists, found power in the quiet. They learned that true control is not over the external, but over the internal. Here's a story. A young monk asked his teacher, "How can I gain strength to face the world?" The teacher took him to a river. "Look at the water," he said. The river roared over rocks, twisted through valleys and crashed into waterfalls. This is the mind of the untrained, pulled every direction, reactive, loud. Then he pointed to a deep hidden pool beside the river. "Now look here, though the river rages, this water remains still, reflecting the sky." This is the mind of one who has mastered themselves. Strength comes not from fighting the river, it comes from finding the stillness within. Stillness is not passivity, it is power concentrated. It is the source from which focus becomes unbreakable, energy becomes infinite, obstacles transform into opportunity, and emotion becomes alchemy. It is the silent engine behind every triumph you've ever witnessed. To reach it, you must stop running from thoughts, from feelings, from yourself. You must step out of the current long enough to feel the ground beneath your feet, to hear your own heartbeat, to breathe in rhythm with life itself. Meditation, reflection, quiet walks, intentional pauses, these are not indulgences. They are the tools of a warrior mind. They are the gateway to mastery. When you enter stillness, you begin to see patterns. You see where your energy is leaking, where your attention is scattered, where your emotions are unprocessed. You see the invisible threads connecting events, people and choices. The world stops being a series of random moments and starts to reveal its underlying order. Stillness also gives you access to intuition, the subtle guidance of your higher self. Most people mistake intuition for coincidence or luck, but it is simply clarity emerging from a mind that has paused long enough to listen. When you are still, answers arise naturally. Solutions that seemed elusive suddenly appear. Paths you could not see before are illuminated. Decisions become effortless, because your inner knowing is louder than the outer noise. This stillness is not fragile. It does not break under stress. It does not fade with failure. Like the lake, it endures beneath storm, and when cultivated, it gives you unshakable confidence, not arrogance, not control over others, but mastery over your own presence, your own mind, your own reality. Here's the ultimate truth. Everything you've learned in this journey, focus, energy, resilience, alignment, emotional mastery, culminates in stillness. Without it, all action is scattered, all power diluted, all victories temporary. With it, your mind is a fortress, your heart a compass, your spirit an unmovable force. Think of life as a symphony. Focus is your instrument, energy is your melody, emotion is your rhythm, but stillness is the silence that gives the music meaning. Without it, the notes clash. With it, every sound resonates, every movement has purpose, and the music becomes eternal. And stillness is not only a refuge, it is a launch pad. From this quiet center you can leap into action without fear, create without strain, lead without coercion. Your decisions carry weight, your presence commands respect, your actions ripple farther than you could imagine. To cultivate stillness, begin by claiming small moments. Sit in quiet for 10 minutes, observe your breath. Notice your thoughts without judgment, feel the sensations in your body. Let the mind settle. Each moment of stillness strengthens your inner power, like water slowly carving stone. Persistent, invisible, transformative. And remember, stillness is not withdrawal from life, it is engagement at the deepest level. It is presence, not absence. It is clarity, not confusion. It is the secret that allows you to train your mind to win in every situation, to navigate chaos without losing yourself, to act with precision when others flounder. As you cultivate this practice, you will notice the shift. The noise of the world no longer dictates your pace. You respond, not react. You create, not scramble. You master, not stumble. Your life begins to move in harmony with your intent, because the power within you is aligned, concentrated, and unstoppable. So carry this with you. Victory is not in the battles you fight outside, it is in the stillness you nurture inside. Every challenge, every distraction, every surge of emotion can be met with clarity, precision, and grace, because your center is unshakable. And now, as we close this journey together, know this: the path you have traveled in these chapters is not a destination, it is a foundation. A foundation you can return to any time. The mind you've trained, the energy you've gathered, the obstacles you've transformed, the alignment you've discovered, the emotions you've alchemized, all lead here to stillness. Step into it, trust it, live from it, and you will realize something profound. When your inner world is mastered, the outer world becomes a reflection of your power, your clarity, and your peace. This is the mind that wins. This is the life that flows. This is the quiet force that shapes destiny. And now carry it forward. Breathe it into every thought, every choice, every action. You are not just trained, you are awakened. You are not just prepared, you are unstoppable.